just over 2 weeks away from the 2025 NFL Draft. Harrison Graham and Jack Sperry here with you from Chat Sports. And Sperry, we thought we'd do a little collaborative mock draft today. We did a short on this that you guys might have seen on the Chat Sports socials, but we're going to do a full video. Sperry will handle the odd number teams. I'll handle the even number teams. We did do a few trades, so excited about this as we're just 16 days out.
Yeah, very excited. We had this idea a couple weeks ago, and we finally put it together, and hopefully this is something that people of this channel really enjoy.
Jack, tell the people where they can find the priority amount of your work here at Chat Sports.
So I am our Steelers and Commanders host here at Chat Sports. You can follow us and subscribe to Steelers Talk by Chat Sports or the Commanders Report by Chat Sports. And then I'm putting out a bunch of NFL draft content, scouting reports, film analysis, all that great stuff, as well as all of my official mock drafts on my X account at Jack_Sperry.
Yeah, I am our Bears host here at Chat Sports, Bears Now by Chat Sports. If you're a Bears fan, come check me out. 4 Verts by Chat Sports. I launched before last season, kind of a full NFL college football channel, mostly NFL, especially in the offseason, as the college football calendar is kind of dead right now. I do weekly NFL mock drafts, including a 3-rounder coming out this week, so go check that out. And then I'm always tweeting about the NFL on Twitter, X as well, at HGramNFL, so find me over there. All right, like we said, Sperry taking the odd number teams. I'm going to take the even number teams. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Sperry, no surprises off the top here.
Yeah, off the top, I'm going to take Cam Ward out of Miami here for the Tennessee Titans. Seems like they fell in love with him a couple of weeks ago, and I do think this is the correct pick for Tennessee. Will Levis has kind of had a rough go of it his first 2 years of his career. Poor offensive line play certainly didn't help his chances of becoming the franchise quarterback there in Tennessee, but plain simply, he hasn't played well enough to keep that job, in my opinion. Cam Ward, I have a top 10 grade on. He's not the best player in this draft, but he is the best quarterback. I think he is a top 10 QB in any draft class there is, so I think this is the right pick for Tennessee.
Yeah, I think he's benefiting. Right place, right time. Not a great draft in general at the top, especially at quarterback. I think he's worth the swing for Tennessee. Travis Hunter to the Browns. I'm going to base this based on the recent reporting. It sounds like they're leaning in that direction after the Colorado Pro Day. Adam Schefter reported that. Before that, the lean was Abdul Carter, but I'm going to make this pick based on the recent buzz out there that Travis Hunter is the lean for Cleveland. A little over 2 weeks out. Sperry with Cleveland, it's been an interesting couple of months. Leading into the combine, they're going to go quarterback. After that, no, they're going to go Abdul Carter. Now it seems to be Travis Hunter. A lot of smoke this time of year. I don't think this is set in stone quite like Cam Ward to Tennessee, but it does sound like that's the favorite right now.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Right now, the cornerback situation there in Cleveland's a little murky. Martin Emerson Jr. and Greg Newsome had really, really poor seasons last year. You still have Denzel Ward. If you get Travis Hunter, it'll be interesting to see if they use him as a wide receiver or a cornerback. They do need wide receiver help alongside Jerry Jeudy there in Cleveland. It kind of depends, I think, on how they feel about Martin Emerson Jr., their other true outside corner there in Cleveland.
Yeah, we'll see if he plays both ways. You've got Abdul Carter going to the Giants at 3 in this scenario.
Yes, I do. Carter, this isn't necessarily a need for the New York Football Giants, but as our Giants host Marshall Green likes to point out, you take BPA here, and I think a lot of people would say that Abdul Carter is the best player available in this spot. There's some people that speculate they could take Ashton Genty here, or they could take, of course, Travis Hunter's teammate Shedeur Sanders to be their next franchise quarterback, but Carter is considered a true blue chip prospect by most NFL teams out there, and they can really assemble one of the best pass rushes in football with Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and Kayvon Thibodeau here.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe they would float Thibodeau out there for a trade. I'm going to go Will Campbell to the Patriots at 4. I like Mason Graham better as an overall prospect, but you could argue, especially if Christian Barmore comes back healthy, that defensive tackle is the strongest position group on the Patriots roster. They gave Milton Williams a bunch of money. To me, if I'm New England, I'm trying to get a player that helps Drake May a lot. And I think Will Campbell does that. You try him at left tackle at first. If that doesn't work out, they have multiple interior spots that they could fill. He could step in and play there as well. I think he's the best offensive line prospect in this draft, even if he doesn't end up working out at left tackle. So I've got Campbell going 4.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got super clean film, really clean footwork, good hand placement, and the arm length checked out at his pro day. Maybe they were giving him a little bit extra room there there to kind of put him over the
Spider-Man
thresholds.
gift, the stretch.
The go gadget arms there with Will Campbell. But I agree, this is a good pick to protect Drake May. They need a left tackle, and Campbell would provide that. Number 5, I got Mason Graham coming off the board here to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They need help along the interior of the defensive line, and I think he's the best overall defensive lineman on the interior in terms of interior pass rushers in this class. Super explosive, great get off the snap. Really love what he brings to the table for the Jags at 5.
Yeah, this seems like one of the more consensus picks, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like in most mocks that are coming out at this point, Mason Graham, other than Cam Ward one to the Titans, this is like the second most popular one right now to Jacksonville. So certainly seems like there's a lot of legs to that pick. All right, I make our first trade of this mock with another team I'm picking for, the Indianapolis Colts. 14 and 45 go to the Raiders. The Colts come up and get 6. In a stronger top-heavy draft, I think the Colts would maybe have to throw in an additional pick here, but in this case, I don't think they will. The draft chart kind of checks out on the points. I don't know if they'd have to pay a major premium in this scenario. And they go up and get the best tight end in this draft and one of the best players in this draft, in my opinion, Tyler Warren. Sperry, the Colts have not had a tight end hit 500 yards since 2018. I mean, it's just abysmal production they've gotten from that position. Would I normally trade up for a tight end in a draft, especially this high? Probably not. But in a draft where there's not a lot of true blue chippers, I think Warren has a chance to be one. I'm okay with it here, especially if you're trying to get the most out of Anthony Richardson and or Daniel Jones.
Yeah, it's a big need for Indianapolis. Obviously, they've been putting a lot of attention towards, getting all the information they can on Tyler Warren throughout the draft process. And it seems like they have really fallen in love with him. And if he's their guy, you make this move up, you trade a second-round pick. And, Warren has got great run after catch ability, but he's also phenomenal at the catch point. He's a great route runner. Maybe a little bit overrated as a blocker, but he is somebody that could be a real dynamic threat in that Colts offense. And he reminds me a lot of Dallas Goedert, all right? And we know Shane Steichen did some great things with Goddard when he was still in Philly. So really like this move up for the Indianapolis
And
Colts.
for the Raiders, with them cutting Jack Jones, they may look to move back and get a cornerback a little bit later, as 6 might be a little early with Travis Hunter off the board. All right, Sperry, Jets at 7, get Armin Mimbu.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Jets moving forward are really going to lean into the run game. There's some different rumors out there that they might be looking to move Breece Hall. We'll see if that actually ends up being the case. Personally, if I'm the Jets, I'm keeping Breece Hall, maybe instilling a little bit more of a committee with Braylon Allen, who had a really good season last year out of Wisconsin. And right now they need a right tackle. They have Chukwuma Okorafor. Expected to be their right tackle, and he stinks. All right, Armin Mimbu is the best right tackle prospect in this class. It would complete their offensive line with Justin Fields as their new quarterback, being a dynamic rushing threat. I think that this is a move that would benefit their entire offense.
Yeah, if it's going to work with Fields, 2 things got to happen. 1, you got to protect him, give him more time because he holds the ball. And 2, you got to lean into the run game. Mimbu helps accomplish both. Mike Green to the Panthers at 8. I love the fit. I love him in a 3-4 scheme as Jero Evero. I think would love to have this guy on board. The only red flag for me with Mike Green is the sexual assault allegations, which teams are heavily going to look into. It's obviously a very serious deal. Teams and owners in particular don't want to bring that into their building if there's any doubt about those situations at all. So obviously that's going to be heavily researched. But if that checks out, Sperry, I think he's a top 12 player in this draft. And to me, after Abdul Carter, he's the best pure pass rusher in this draft, coming off the edge.
Yeah, I think Mike Green is an awesome prospect. Reminds me a lot of Khalil Mack when he was coming out of Buffalo. Very similar size profile. He can win with speed, incredible bend off the edge, and he's got the best spin move I've seen out of an edge prospect in a very, very long time. And he can even beat you with power. He ran over Josh Connerly Jr. at the viral moment of the Senior Bowl this year. Mike Green has got it all. I think that his tape is right up there with Abdul Carter's even, at least in my opinion. I think he's a top 10 player in this class, but like you said, the off-field stuff definitely needs to check out for him to be a top 10 pick in this class.
Shedorlands, anyone? How about Shedeur Sanders to the Saints, Barry?
Yeah, he's now the betting favorite for this to happen, and I think that there's a decent chance that this could be the case, all right? He's comfortable in shotgun-heavy offenses. That's what Kellen Moore is going to be bringing to that New Orleans Saints offense. And honestly, I don't love the fit between Derek Carr and that kind of Eagles-style, spread-style offense. I think Carr's a better fit for a West Coast system. But Shedeur is certainly somebody that has the pre-snap processing ability to kind of operate that shotgun and spread heavy offense. So I see the way that people are kind of making this connection here, and with the Giants and Browns looking like they're going to be passing on him at 2 and 3, I think that this is probably the most likely scenario for Shedorlins here at number 9.
Yeah, and Kellen Moore has had a lot of success with a lot of different quarterbacks, so I think he could lean into what Shedeur does well, which is the quick game, especially early on in his career. I think at 9, if you're New Orleans, small market team, brings a lot of hope to the fan base. If he's there, it's probably still a little early based on the caliber of prospect, but I think it's worth the swing. Let's go to my Chicago Bears here. Ashton Jeanty in this scenario falls to 10. I'm not really convinced this happens, and this was not strategic by us, by the way. It just happened to play out. But if he's there at 10, I think there's a great chance they take him. Ben Johnson wants to get a really good back to pair with DeAndre Swift, who's a good player but not a 3-down back at this stage in his career. Jeanty can be that, and early on you could kind of split carries with him and Swift as they bring different things to the table. A really just great prospect. I mean, if he was 6 foot, I think he'd be viewed even better. But I think his contact balance is some of the best I've ever seen. He's more explosive than he gets credit for. His sophomore year, Sperry, he had over 500 receiving yards, and then last year it just dipped because he had so many carries. They just kind of didn't want to add 10 more touches per game for him. So I love the fit really in any system, but if the Bears get their hands on him at 10, I think Ben Johnson's a happy customer.
Yeah, he's one of the true blue chips in this class, in my opinion. He's the number 2 overall prospect on my big board right now, and obviously Ben Johnson really prioritizes the run game. I think that's a great pick for Chicago. Here at number 11, I'm going to take Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. Now, Nolan's another guy that's got some off-field stuff that you're going to have to look into, and a lot of teams are doing their due diligence looking into him, but the San Francisco 49ers are showing a ton of interest in Nolan, and for somebody that is so explosive, his play strength is off the charts as well. His physical attributes as an interior pass rusher, you just don't see every day, and those physical traits are something that I think San Francisco really cherishes in their number 1 interior pass rusher. I think he has a chance to be an impact player for them down the road.
Yeah, the flashes have already been there as a pass rusher, and he's excellent against the run as well. So if those personality kind of question marks check out, I think he could go this high. This has been a popular pick as well recently in a lot of mocks. Teteroa McMillan to the Cowboys at 12. They've publicly said they want to get a number 2 receiver to go with CeeDee Lamb. I think there's still a very strong argument to make that T-Mac is the best receiver in this draft, depending on how you view Travis Hunter as a receiver, just overall prospect, etc. I like T-Mac. I know there seems to be some draft fatigue there, but he's big, he's fluid. He's not a burner, but he can give you yards after the catch. I know it was New Mexico, but just turn on that film where he's catching crossing routes, turning the corner, and just beating defenders to the end zone. I like his game. Really good catch radius, good ball skills in the air. I don't really see a weakness here with T-Mac.
Yeah, me neither. There's some people that are freaking out about the video from 2 years ago saying that he doesn't watch film on his own. I mean, when you watch him on film, guys, this guy's an incredibly intelligent wide receiver. He understands leverage. He understands the way that corners are trying to play him. And, he's extremely fluid, and, his foot speed is really special from him as well. I have a top 10 grade on him. He's my number 1 true wide receiver in this class, and this would be a steal as far as I'm concerned for the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, you've got Josh Simmons to the Dolphins at 13.
Yes, I do, and I took him over Kelvin Banks Jr. because I just think that the overall film and in the arm length with Josh Simmons, I think, is a bit better, which I think will be important to Miami. Banks, I think, projects potentially more as a guard at the NFL level. I think you can try him at left tackle, but the arm length is an issue with him. Simmons, before he got injured last year at Ohio State, you can make an argument he had the best true left tackle film out of any player in this class, including Will Campbell. It was really, really impressive. And I think that the injury stuff isn't going to be as concerning for Miami, who now need a new left tackle after Teron Armstead announces retirement.
Yeah, they've got Patrick Paul, who they took at the second round last year, but if they are not confident there, I could see them going left tackle in the first round. Will Johnson to the Raiders here. I think this is a great scenario, Sperry. If they can trade back from 6, pick up a day 2 pick, and still get Will Johnson a position of need, especially after cutting Jack Jones, I think that's a win for Vegas. They could certainly stick and pick at 6, either Armand Mimbu or Ashton Jeanty or someone of that ilk. But if you told Pete Carroll and company, hey, you're going to pick up an extra second, which you lost a third-round pick in the Geno Smith trade, still get arguably the best pure outside corner in the draft at 14. That's a huge win for John Spytek and Pete Carroll.
Yeah, and even if they don't get Will Johnson here at 14, let's say he goes to Miami at 13, you'd still have Jahdae Barron on the board, and he would be an excellent fit for what they want to do there in Las Vegas. He could play in the slot if they need him to, and he can also play outside. Reminds me a lot of Trent McDuffie, but we'll talk about Jahdae Barron here in just a second.
All right, you've got James Pierce Jr. to the Falcons. I think from an on-field and talent standpoint, more than worthy at 15, but kind of like Walter Nolan, I would actually say louder than whispers at this point. There's clearly some personality quirks and, I don't know, commitment concerns. There's stuff going on with James Pierce, not from a legal standpoint, but from a, does he love football? Is he a good teammate? It sounds like Tennessee was kind of happy that he was out of the program, so that's something you're definitely going to have to look into here.
Yeah, absolutely. There is the character concerns here, but just on film, James Pierce Jr. is awesome, all right? He's got an incredible, explosive, athletic profile. He can beat you in a lot of different ways. He's got more power than you would expect at 245 pounds. He really uses his explosive athleticism to convert speed to power really nicely. He's got the potential to be number one edge rusher in the National Football League, and Atlanta has been desperate for one of those for multiple seasons at this point. So here, if the personality stuff checks out, I think that Pierce could go here number 15 to Atlanta.
I wouldn't say it's the Cardinals' top need, but they could use another corner, and I like Jahdae Barron just as a BPA pick here. There are some mocks having him going to the top 10 as high as Carolina at 8. They need another DB on that defense that really was not that good last year. So they add him on the back end. I'd probably, if all things are equal, prefer to add a trenches player either on the offensive or defensive line here. But Barron fills a need, and I think is the best player remaining. So that's who I have Arizona taking at 16.
Yeah, I think he's a perfect fit. They run a lot of off coverage there in that quarters-heavy system that Jonathan Gannon likes to run in the desert, and I think Barron would be a perfect fit for that. Another person to keep in mind, though, along the defensive trenches here is Derek Harmon. They've been showing a lot of interest in him, and he's a disruptive pass rusher, something they could certainly use along the defensive trenches there in Arizona.
All right, halfway home, we'll go a little quicker on 17 through 32 as we get later in this mock, but we do want to provide some analysis on all these picks because we know fan bases of all 32 teams. So coming up, picks 17 through 32. But if you want to get some draft gear, there is still time to get some before the NFL draft is here. Hats, T-shirts, other gear. Go to chatsports.com/2025draft. We got hats for every single team. Different styles this year. I think they're pretty sweet this year, too. The draft hats in the past, be honest, not that great. But I think this year the NFL did a much better job. I mentioned other gear, hoodies, T-shirts, etc. Go check out that link. It's in the comments and in the description, chatsports.com/2025draft. Okay, Sperry, you're trading down for the first time between Houston and Cincinnati as you got the Texans moving up.
Yeah, I got the Texans moving up. I think that after getting rid of Laramie Tunsil, trading him to the Washington Commanders, they're probably going to be looking to get their next left tackle of the future. They got Cam Robinson, and they got some Band-Aids that they picked up. Exactly. I think that they're going to want to move up to take a left tackle if they have an opportunity to move up. And here I have the Bengals, who right now I think a lot of the players that they would stick and pick for have already been taken. So I'm going to have them move down to number 25. They pick up an additional second-round pick, and the Texans also get a fifth round on kind of a pick swap there in mid-round picks. And then with the 17th pick, I'm going to have the Texans take Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. Whether you need him in the future to play guard or, he's probably going to start week one as their starting left tackle to see how he does his rookie season. He's going to be a starting offensive lineman for you for the next decade there in Houston. Of course, he doesn't have to move very far going from Austin to Houston. I think that's a really good fit for him.
Yeah, and if they want Robinson to play left tackle this year, Banks can play one of those guard spots. The guards they've added are not world beaters by any means. So you could start him at guard, kick him out next year. So he's got the flexibility to do that. All right, I'm going to trade for the second time as well because your Pittsburgh Steelers come calling, Sperry. 18 and 21 swap. Seahawks get a fourth this year and then a fifth next year. So a couple of day 3 picks to drop 3 spots. And Amarian Hampton is the player you go up and get, because with Denver lurking at 20, may have to get ahead of them to get the second running back in this draft.
Yeah, Arthur Smith, the Steelers' offensive coordinator, really prioritizes the run game. And even though it looks like Aaron Rodgers is going to be coming here to Pittsburgh, I still think they're going to want to get that star-level running back to pair with Jaylen Warren after Najee Harris left in free agency. Hampton, along with Ashton Genty, is a bona fide stud at the position. And if you're looking for a true star-level back that's going to be able to do that day one in your running back room, I think Hampton is the guy to do that. And the Steelers don't have to give up their other or their sole day 2 draft pick in round 3 in this deal. So I think this is something that GM Omar Khan would consider.
Another consensus pick that you see a lot is Jahad Campbell to the Bucs, Sperry, and you stuck with that theme here.
Yeah, he can play. He can do all the off-ball linebacker stuff. He's pretty decent in coverage. He's good in terms of diagnosing the run, decent tackler, and then he also provides the ability to rush the passer on third down from the edge. So he kind of reminds me of Frankie Louvu in that way. A good athletic profile as well. I think this is a great fit for Todd Bowles' defense.
Yes, Campbell 19. So I'm back on the clock here for the next 2 picks, actually, after that trade with Pittsburgh. Colston Loveland to the Broncos. I think Sean Payton, between running back and tight end, would like to add the best player available at those 2 positions. Now, if Loveland's gone and Hampton's gone, maybe they'd pivot to a receiver, go to a Matthew Golden or something like that. But Loveland, I do think, is the second best tight end in this draft. We're kind of similar, Sperry. Like, we like Loveland. I don't love him as much as some of draft Twitter. There's people out there that like him more than Tyler Warren. I don't see that at all. I think he's an okay blocker. I think he's a pretty fluid route runner, has soft hands. I don't know if he's like crazy dynamic though. So I think at 20, it's fine, especially in this draft. And I like him going to an offensive mind like Sean Payton, who's had a lot of success with different tight ends, most notably Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, I think his blocking tape, his run blocking tape there at Michigan is better than people give him credit for because he's a bit lanky, but he plays with great technique. So if you want to play him in line, he can. I do think he's a little bit overrated as a receiver. I don't know if he's truly special as a route runner or an athlete. I think that he's good and smooth in both of those areas. I think he's got a good catch radius. I think that he's got good hands, but he's not really special in any area, in my opinion, which is why I have him a whole tier below Tyler Warren in terms of my tight end rankings this year.
I completely agree. Like this video if you want more collabs. If we get enough feedback on this show, Sperry and I could run it back next week or the week of the draft. So if you are enjoying the show so far, it's a little lengthier, a little more analysis. Let us know in the comments, and also just hit that like button. That way we'll know that you guys are enjoying it. Okay, 21 here. I traded down as Seattle's owner. Gray Zabel here. Producer Cullen is our resident Seahawks fan. He gave me one of these, little fist pump here. I think that's an ideal scenario, Sperry, where they can trade down and still fill a need. He's labeled as a tackle in our system, but he's going to play guard in the NFL or potentially center. I think for Seattle, he would start at one of those interior spots from day one.
This would be a smart move by Seattle, but something tells me they will not take somebody to play interior offensive line. John Schneider does not value interior offensive line play. He'll take a tackle in round 1. He probably won't take an interior offensive lineman, but I think this would be the smart move because that offensive line desperately needs help with Sam Darnold coming in. But something tells me, Graham, that they're going to end up taking a wide receiver with their pick.
Matthew Golden could certainly be in play here. Kenneth Grant to the Chargers. I've kind of come to the conclusion that if one of Will Johnson, Kenneth Grant, or Colston Loveland falls to 22, one of Jim Harbaugh's Michigan men, that he's just going to take them. A, they all fill a need for the Chargers, and B, they're just good prospects that he knows very well. And he loves trenches, guys. Kenneth Grant to the Chargers, I mean, it's kind of a match made in heaven.
And they could really use a true nose tackle of the future here, somebody that's going to be a great run stuffer for them for many, many years to come. And like we talk about, I mean, this is just such a Jim Harbaugh pick. His former player at Michigan, trenches player, physical type of player here in Kenneth Grant, 340 pounds, but can move like a deer.
I think he gives you a little wiggle as a pass rusher, too. Like, he's not one of these just, first and second down players. I think he can play on third downs as well.
I agree. Number 23, I got the Green Bay Packers taking Matthew Golden. I mean, it's just too far to fall here. And Green Bay sneakily needs wide receiver help here. Christian Watson's and Romeo Doubs both are dealing with very serious injury concerns. It definitely seems to me like the Packers are going to need wide receiver. And if Golden falls this far, you just can't go another position.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs made that comment too earlier in the offseason. We need a true number one. I don't know if Golden's that from day one, but they certainly could add there. Malachi Starks to the Vikings, kind of what I did earlier with Jahdae Barron, just a BPA pick. They could use the safety. Harrison Smith is year to year at this point. This could be his last season. Starks could give you some snaps at nickel as well. He's got that versatility. I think he's the smoothest safety in this draft. Our apologies on the school labeling. He's Georgia, not Alabama. But I really like the prospect. Not the best athlete, tested just okay, but the tape is good. He's a willing tackler. I think he can play both safety spots.
Yep, and then I think Starks is kind of like the Brian Branch type of player in this class, where he's not necessarily the most physically gifted player out there, but he has incredibly fluid feet, fantastic instincts, and special ball skills. I think he'd really fit in well there with Brian Flores in Minnesota. My pick here at number 25, I got Derek Harmon, probably best overall defensive player left on the board at this point after the trade down from Cincinnati. They just need help wherever they can get it on defense there in Cincinnati, and I think Harmon is a disruptive pass rusher at the 3 technique. That would be a great fit there in Cincinnati.
Do you think there's a wide gap between him and Walter Nolan? Because I think I'd place them in the same tier.
Yeah, I think they're pretty similar, and I think Nolan might be slightly stronger of a prospect in terms of overall play strength, might be a slightly more twitchy, but they're both very disruptive, and if you can land either one of these guys, I think you're happy.
Jalen Walker to the Rams. I don't know what to do with this guy. I know he's talented, but I don't know if he could play in a 4-3, so that kind of limits where he could go. Does he play off-ball in the NFL? Is he an edge? You've kind of pigeonholed him as an edge, so if that's the case, I think he has to go to a 3-4 scheme. I think in L.A. he can fit with that unit. They've got some good pass rushers already, so he could kind of ease his way in.
Yeah, this brother cannot play off-ball linebacker, right? And Georgia knew that, all right? They pretty much all they used him for was like a Devin White style of blitzing linebacker that they lined him up over the ball a lot. He didn't really rush from the edge a whole ton. Kind of played from like an off-ball alignment, but he was over the ball, and he was kind of a stunt weapon for the Georgia Bulldogs. They kind of knew that he's terrible in coverage, he's terrible in run defense, so they just said, go up to the line of scrimmage and just create havoc as a pass rusher, and that's exactly what I think he would do with the Los Angeles Rams, use him in creative ways. He's probably more of a true pass rusher in the league, not an off-ball linebacker, at least in my opinion, but he is an athletic freak.
One thing about Walker is people have raved about his leadership within that Georgia program, and that obviously is going to have a lot of value for him. Okay, you go another safety here for the Ravens here, Sperry. Nick Emenwari out of South Carolina, who had one of the better combines we've ever seen.
I mean, this style of defense, the kind of versatile, kind of positionless, quote-unquote positionless style of defense has really been modernized and really popularized by kind of the Mike Macdonald style of defense that they still run here in Baltimore. And, of course, Kyle Hamilton has been kind of their chess piece, but I don't think you can have enough chess pieces when you run a defense like this, post-snap rotations, all the different stuff to kind of confuse opposing quarterbacks. Emenwari needs a little bit more time to cook in the oven, in my opinion. His run diagnostics is not very good. He's not the most aggressive in run defense. He's played more free safety than strong safety despite his size at South Carolina. So he's going to have to really learn and develop there in Baltimore. But if anybody can develop him into a star, it'd be the Ravens.
Yeah, and he's got the athletic profile to do the different things you're talking about that they asked their DBs to do. Mykel Williams, the Lions at 28. He'll probably go earlier than this. I don't love him. I think he's fine. He didn't test as well as I thought. I do like him better than Shamar Stewart, a player we'll talk about in a second. He's got good size and length. Some production, unlike Shamar Stewart as a pass rusher. He kind of worked Kelvin Banks a couple of times, so in some big games he showed up, but very hit and miss week to week. Like I said, I thought the testing was fine, but I thought it would be better. But I think late in the draft, that the Lions don't have a ton of needs. You get a guy who has pass rush upside to pair with Aiden Hutchinson. I don't mind it at 28.
Yeah, I think Mykel has a really high floor, is a really great run defender. His length allows him to block shed really, really easily, and he played at the kind of like a run-stuffing alignment there at Georgia playing the 4-eye, which he took on double teams. He took on a lot of different responsibilities as a true run defender. And because of that, he didn't get a lot of true one-on-one pass rush reps against offensive tackles in his college career. But what he did show some impressive stuff. So he's more of a projection. I think he's a high 4 player with his ability to defend the run. But I think that Detroit would love him here at 28.
And to your point, opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, probably would get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. So maybe he could give you some production sooner rather than later. All right, you trade back with the Commanders as the Browns come calling, move back into the first round here.
Yeah, for the Commanders, I think that they would love to get James Pierce Jr., Mike Green, one of the top edge rushers. But with those guys off the board, I think that they would they'd like to trade down and get one of those picks that they kind of gave away to other teams when they got Laramie Tunsil and they got Deebo Samuel this offseason. They've really invested in veteran talent. Here they can trade down just a couple of spots and get another day 2 pick from the Cleveland Browns who want to get their quarterback of the future. And I'll have them take Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss. And, Dart is somebody that I don't have a first-round grade on. And but, the old saying goes with the Cleveland Browns, the Browns are going to brown, all right? And I think they're going to make a mistake here. I think Jackson Dart probably wouldn't work out for the Cleveland Browns here just because I don't think he is a true first-round talent. But you never know. I think if he hits, he'll be a mid-level NFL starter, not the greatest pocket presence, but he does have some really good ability to throw the ball down the field. He's going to have to develop his mental processing to reach that ceiling as a true NFL starter. But, hey, if you're throwing to Jerry Jeudy and Travis Hunter, 2 excellent route runners, certainly going to help him out.
Yeah, I could see the Browns just call it desperate, call it whatever. Let's sneak back in, get the 5th-year option. Maybe you still go get Kirk Cousins after the draft in the scenario so Dart can sit for a year. I definitely don't think he should start from day 1. And also, advice to Jackson Dart if he's watching this, do not try to run over middle linebackers in the NFL.
It's a bad idea.
Unlike Dan Orlovsky comparing you to Josh Allen, you were not as big as Josh Allen. Okay, I got the Bills taking Emeka Egbuka, another BPA situation. I think he's worthy of going in the 20s. I don't think he ever is a number 1 in the NFL, so he kind of just adds to that lengthy rotation of receivers the Bills have, which is a bunch of like 2s and 3s. But he's a great blocker, high character guy. He was selfless at Ohio State early on in his career. He kind of let Marvin Harrison be the number 1 guy. His senior year, it's my time, right? Well, Jeremiah Smith comes in and takes on that role, and he never complained about it. So I think he'll fit in with any team and give Josh Allen another weapon to work with.
Yeah, there's not many prospects in this class that are as ready to be NFL starters as Emeka Egbuka is. He's just super clean route runner, good after the catch, like you said, experienced blocker in the run game. He provides something for the Buffalo Bills where they're trying to win now, gives them another really talented and a reliable receiving option for Josh Allen, last year's NFL MVP. Number 31 here, I got Josh Connerly Jr., the offensive tackle out of Oregon. Really good pass protector. Obviously, Kansas City likes to do a lot of passing because they have the best quarterback on the planet in Patrick Mahomes. Connerly lacks a little bit of power. Even though he has a pretty decent frame, and he's going to have to develop that a little bit. He can get bullied in the bull rush a little bit. Just ask Mike Green, who ran him over at the Senior Bowl. But he plays with really good hand placement, really good balance and footwork, and I really like his pass protection sets in terms of handling speed, handling finesse. Needs to handle power a little bit better, but I think that can come in time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Chiefs do go left tackle. Do they sit behind Jalen Moore at first? Does Moore play left guard? Because that position's kind of up for grabs after they traded Joe Thuney to the Bears. So it'll kind of be interesting to see what they do with this pick. Okay, Shamar Stewart, someone's going to take him in the first round with that athletic profile. If he is going to develop, Philadelphia has a pretty good history of developing offensive and defensive linemen. He wouldn't be asked to be a star there or anything right away. He could just be part of a rotation. Has a decent bull rush, although he did shed weight for the combine. I would try to put that weight back on. Like, that would be my advice if I was running a team for him, and kind of just lean into that power rush ability because he doesn't really have any finesse moves. I kind of wonder, Sperry, like, do you try to make him just like a 5 tech in the NFL and just try to win with power? Because I don't think against good technician offensive tackles, he's winning one-on-ones very often at all in the NFL.
Yeah, I completely agree. Production's not there. Doesn't really show any speed around the edge. Not a lot of bend for his athletic profile. And then he doesn't really have a lot of swipes or swims or rips or any type of
I
finesse.
do think he's a
moves.
plus run defender.
Yeah, I mean that's where the Trayvon Walker kind of comp comes in, where like he's going to be able to be a decent run defender day one in the National Football League, but even then he cut weight this year. So if he plays at that lower weight, is he going to be able to anchor the same way he did at Texas A&M? You know, there's legitimate question marks with Shamar Stewart, in my opinion. And, you know, he's high upside for sure, but, you know, we've seen some of these guys, kind of high floor run defenders that don't have a lot of production in college, not really pan out in the league. So I would be a little bit wary of taking him as a true edge rusher.
There's a correlation with these, you know, kind of combine warriors that weren't productive in college not being that productive in the NFL. Now, Trayvon Walker, if he was picked at 32, we'd view that as an awesome pick. I mean, he's been I'd say a second half of the first round productive level player, but not number one overall. Obviously, that would not be the case with Shamar Stewart. So if he became Trayvon Walker and was the 32nd pick, I think that'd be a good pick. But
I think we know Philly knows how to develop defensive linemen, so I think that'd be a great fit for him.
No doubt about it. There you have it. Our collaborative mock draft 1.0. Let us know what your favorite pick was and give us your thoughts on who your favorite team selected. And again, like the video if you want Sperry and I to run this back. We're just over 2 weeks out from the NFL draft, so we could sneak another one in here before the draft gets going, maybe next week. So give us your thoughts on that. He's Jack Sperry. I'm Harrison Graham. Go check out our work on our other channels and on our social media. We passed that along earlier in the video, and we'll see you guys soon.